my daughter, Samantha, and her boyfriend, Max, they love to go rock climbing, and so they were in Boulder last week, and I told her to send me a picture, but I didn't realize, she didn't know that I was going to actually use it in the sermon. But I thought it was a great metaphor for what we're talking about today, about covenanting with one another and trusting relationship, because you absolutely have to trust that the person who is holding that rope as you're walking up, climbing up the rock face, that they are holding on to it and that you're not going to fall, and that would be bad. Anyway, I thought it was a great picture. Okay. So I'd like to begin with a story about Vincent van Gogh. He was born March 30, 1853, and died in July 1890. Before he became a creative legend and attained such mastery of art that he explained nature better than science, he confronted the same existential challenge of many young people and aspiring artists that they face as they set out to find their purpose and do what they love. Something that often requires the discomforting uncertainty of deviating from the beaten path, doing something that other people don't think you should be doing, not the conventional way. So in January of 1879, 26-year-old Van Gogh, who had dropped out of high school, was given a 6-month appointment as a preacher in a small village. First of all, the credentialing and all of that has changed a lot. A lot. But this job consisted of giving Bible readings, teaching school children, and caring for the sick and poor. He devoted himself wholeheartedly to the task, and in solidarity with the poor, gave away all of his possessions to live in a tiny hut, which I'm not sure I would do, but he did. He gave it all away, lived in this hut where he slept on the ground. But his commitment backfired. The church committee that had hired him saw this as extravagant posturing of humility and fired him. In August, Van Gogh moved to a nearby village and took up drawing and writing, which he had been doing recreationally for years for his own pleasure. But he took it up as a more serious endeavor. That summer, his brother, his beloved brother, Theo, visited to discuss Vincent's future, making it clear that the family was concerned with his lack of direction. Vincent was the eldest of 6, which only compounded the expectation. This uncomfortable talk, which initially caused a rift between the brothers, affected Van Gogh profoundly and became a serious turning point in his life. So there's a book that just came out that are all these letters called Even Yours, the Essential Letters, and the references will be online if you want to check it out. He says to his brother, "It's better that we feel something for each other, rather than behave like corpses toward one another. The more so because as long as one has no real right to be called a corpse by being legally dead, it's marks of hypocrisy, or at least childishness to pose as such." So he's being kind of cheeky about so that's one. Can you back up one slide back to the other one? Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't highlight it right in my notes, so that's my fault. The hours we spent together in this way have at least assured us that we're both still in the land of the living. So he's saying we're arguing, but at least we feel something for each other. When I saw you again and took a walk, I had the same feeling I used to have more than I do now, and as though life were something good and precious that one should cherish, and I felt more cheerful and alive than I had been for a long time. Because in spite of myself, life had gradually become, or has seemed, much less precious to me. much more unimportant and indifferent. When one lives with others and is bound by a feeling of affection, one is aware that one has a reason for being. That one might not be entirely worthless and superfluous, but perhaps good for one thing or another, considering that we need one another and are making the same